Today is Friday, December 13th, 2024. Welcome back. My name is Hunter, and with Weather on the Go, this is your afternoon update on this Friday as we're going to be talking about an ice storm that is developing overnight tonight into your Saturday across the Midwest, a big storm producing snow out across the western United States. And we're also talking about another couple of waves of Arctic air following this weekend's warm up. So we got a lot to talk about in the video update this afternoon. Let's look at our temperatures here across the board this afternoon, and a marked warm up since the last 24 hours here. We've definitely seen a lot of warmer air than what we have seen over the past couple of days, and that is because our Arctic air is departing. You can see temperatures this afternoon into the single digits up there into southern Canada, teens across the upper Midwest, and that 32-degree line, more importantly, is moving further to the north. And looking at our wind chills this afternoon, still pretty cold out there, still needing the winter jackets and those gloves and scarves and everything, as those temperatures are still in the single digits on either side of zero this afternoon with the wind chill. Look at as what we have coming as we go into the weekend. So on Saturday, there goes the Arctic air pushing further to the east into the northeast United States up here into Quebec, and then the mild Pacific air overtakes that, especially though by Sunday. You're going to see a nice warm up there, especially in the upper Midwest by late this weekend. That will be on Sunday, December 15th. Let's look at that. Starting off tomorrow morning, low temperatures here well into the single digits and teens across the upper Midwest, the Great Lakes, the Northeast, still going to start off pretty chilly. Notice the warming trend, though, from Kansas, Missouri on southward. That is moving northbound, and as we go into Saturday afternoon, that freezing line will actually end up in parts of Minnesota, central Wisconsin, central Michigan, and over here into central Pennsylvania. So another jump northward with that freezing line tomorrow afternoon. Starting off Sunday morning, notice the freezing line again is a little bit further off to the north there, north of Chicago, and we're into the 20s there where we're below freezing in the upper Midwest, and then that freezing line Sunday afternoon takes another jump northward towards the Canadian-U.S. international border. So definitely seeing a marked warm up as we head into the weekend, and this transition is going to lead to an ice storm in the wake of this Arctic air across the Hawkeye state of Iowa as we go into the night and into Saturday. So let's look at the energy from this system. This is the 500 millibar vorticity map, and basically the brighter the colors show you the more spin, the low pressure, if you will, in the atmosphere. Notice it's back here into Colorado here currently. That's going to push out towards Kansas as we go into overnight tonight. Out ahead of that, we're seeing warm air advection from the Gulf of Mexico, and that is actually going to lead to an overrunning setup where we have warmer air over the top and cooler air at the surface that will make precipitation fall as rain, and then that rain will freeze on contact. That is called freezing rain, and that is what we'll see heading into Saturday. And then you can see by Sunday that energy moves over there toward the Ohio Valley and the Great Lakes. The energy out west is actually coming in tonight. The bulk of that energy coming in throughout the day on Saturday, and then that'll move up toward the northern Rockies and northern U.S. as we go into the day on Sunday, spreading precipitation across the Pacific Northwest and into the northern plains. Let's look here at this precipitable water anomaly. It's the percent of normal. So looking here at the blues, we're seeing at least 200% of normal precipitation here with your precipitable water from Minnesota southward. And look at the source region is the western Gulf of Mexico. So when you have a lot of that happening, a lot of moisture coming from the Gulf, you know some of this moisture could be heavy. Same thing across the west. Obviously, though, the west coast storm will see the moisture from the East Pacific rather than the Gulf. So that is something we're keeping an eye on. So let's look here at the weather alerts. Currently, we do have ice storm warnings. And by the way, this is the first time the National Weather Service in Davenport, Iowa has issued an ice storm warning in 658 days, which is nearly 2 years. So that is impressive here. So definitely want to take that seriously. Expanding winter weather advisories here across the states around Iowa as we expect some travel difficulties heading into the Saturday morning commute. Something to keep an eye on there. And then out west in the pinks here, and we are seeing winter storm warnings from the Sierras and all the way up into northern California. Winter storm warnings as well into western Wyoming, where we do anticipate some heavier snowfall heading into the start of the weekend. So let's break this all down for you together here. Currently, right now, we are seeing some drizzle and also some freezing drizzle try to develop across southeastern Nebraska. We also have our second system across the west coast, bringing in the rainfall in lower elevations. So for like Portland, Oregon, down into northwest California, and then the Cascades, northern Sierras starting to see some heavier snowfall. Heading into tonight, we got that overrunning setup. We got the warm air advection from the Gulf of Mexico. We showed you the precipitable water from that lifting northward. That freezing line is shifting northward ever so slightly tonight, but we have the warm setup on top, cold setup underneath here near the ground. That is going to produce rainfall, freezing on contact, freezing rain, freezing drizzle up here into Iowa. And the problem is I'm actually concerned that this is going to be lighter precipitation. A light freezing rain actually accretes ice better than heavy freezing rain precipitating at a heavy rate, because then it would run off and it wouldn't accrete as much ice. So that is a concern in Iowa. That's why those ice storm warnings are up. And look at all the snowfall out here to the west. Sierra is seeing that into Saturday. Definitely seeing some heavier snowfall there going into Saturday night and even into Sunday. A lot of that snowfall moves up there towards portions of Montana. So keeping an eye on the snowfall out west, we're going to be seeing some heavier snowfall from the Cascades down into the central and northern Sierras. Look at central Idaho, even seeing a few feet of snow there as well. So the ski resorts are not going to be in short supply of snow across the west, especially there in the Sierras. That is for sure. But looking really closely here at this ice, now don't look at these numbers and say, wow, we're going to see an inch of ice there in southeast Iowa. I honestly do think this is a little bit of contamination from the moisture here, and some of this could be sleet mixing in, so we're not going to see an inch of ice, but I do think there is an area in eastern Iowa from around Iowa City and into Cedar Rapids there, maybe as far north as Waterloo, that could see anywhere from a quarter to a half an inch of ice accretion as we go into your Saturday morning before we try to change that freezing rain over to normal liquid rainfall into the afternoon as those temperatures warm up above freezing. So definitely keeping an eye on that. That could really cause some problems, not only on the roadways, but some scattered power outages, as this will also coincide with some gusty winds over 40 miles per hour as well. So let's look here at the travel. Winter Storm Severity Index. Basically, this shows you the travel impacts here from tonight into Saturday morning. This goes all the way through noontime on Saturday. Notice you have moderate travel disruptions there in those areas. Iowa City, Cedar Rapids, maybe up there toward Waterloo. We have major extreme travel difficulties in northern parts of California, the northern and central Sierras, especially the higher you go in elevation. Definitely going to be needing the chains on those tires out there. That is for sure. Heading into Saturday afternoon, so this is noon time frame onward through the afternoon and going up to noon on Sunday. Notice we get rid of the travel impacts across Iowa here, and we improve that as the ice starts to melt with our warming temperatures Saturday afternoon. Notice we still have the snowfall and the impacts from that on travel across the Sierras and a lot of the Pacific Northwest, seeing that as well, especially in the highest of elevations. That'll be from Saturday afternoon and through the day on Sunday, so keeping an eye on that. Heading into next week, we got a warm up that continues from the weekend into Monday, so we got the mild Pacific air hanging around, but turn your attention off to the north and west. British Columbia, Alberta, Saskatchewan starting to see that colder air, a glancing blow of some colder air, especially up there towards the Gopher State of Minnesota and the Badger State of Wisconsin by midweek on Wednesday, and then we're going to see a much colder and more widespread push of cold air, and this is Arctic of origin, moving down here across the northern U.S. and maybe even further south here toward Kansas, Missouri, and even Kentucky this time around a week from today. This will be Friday, December 20th, getting closer to Christmas. Now, this colder air, will we have snowfall finally with this colder air? Well, the storm track is going to be further east and definitely going to be seeing some above normal precipitation out ahead of that cold air. And look at the Pacific. We are lining up storms like a train here across the Pacific all the way back to Asia as we speak. So definitely seeing a lot of storms coming in next week. We got another system bringing some rain in from the Ohio Valley back toward Texas on Monday. Another system moving into the West Coast, Pacific Northwest on Monday, bringing heavier snows for the Cascades. The northern Sierras, again, lower elevation rains from Washington State, western Oregon, down into northwest California. We'll go into Tuesday. We're going to see kind of a transitional period where we could have some weaker storms moving through Tuesday and into Wednesday. Again, more rain. A lot of this is going to be liquid precipitation across the southeast on Wednesday. Another storm coming into the Pacific Northwest that'll zoom across southern Canada Wednesday into Thursday. And then Friday looks like the quietest period. However, I will want to note that we are seeing the models start to converge on a solution here across the east, that a low pressure system may try to develop here offshore of the east coast, and another low with the associated colder air up there in Canada and the Great Lakes that could bring lake effect snow. But if these two low pressure systems can join forces, we could actually talk about a bigger snowstorm later next week or next weekend across the Northeast. But we're just unsure of if those jet streams, the polar jet and the subtropical jet, will phase together correctly across the East Coast to bring us that bigger snowstorm. So that is still to be determined, but right now the potential pieces to the puzzle are there for Friday onward in toward next weekend. And it's going to bring a lot of precipitation with it. A lot of this will be rainfall from the Ohio Valley, the Mid-Atlantic, south and westbound toward the Lone Star State of Texas. Heavier snows next week for the Pacific Northwest. In particular, southern British Columbia could get dumped on with a couple feet of snow. The Cascades could get dumped on with a foot or two of snow in the northern Sierras. And then that storm track with the snow across southern Canada as well, from Ontario and Manitoba eastward there toward Quebec again. We have some lake effect snow with that as well, especially later in the week. And then again, can those two low pressure systems join forces? These numbers for the snowfall totals in the Northeast and New England, heading down toward the Poconos in Pennsylvania, could go up a lot if those systems can phase together and produce a bigger snowstorm. That is, again, still to be determined. We'll keep you updated on that. I know it's a longer update. We got a lot to get to here. Thank you all for watching. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. Share this video with friends, family, and on social media. Get the word out. Make sure to like the video. Give it a thumbs up down below. It definitely helps to get traction with this video on YouTube if you do like it. Also, leave any comments, questions, concerns below. We'll get to those after the video. And I hope everyone has a terrific and wonderful rest of their Friday out there.